Go download my free legato course right now and learn to play fast in the fastest way possible. Hello, welcome to our second session on how to remember scale shapes ultra fast, and in this case the pentatonic shapes. And it might be any scale shape, any chord shape, even anything. And in the previous video, we talked about the mental aspect of it, that we have basically three ways of remembering something. When it comes to guitar, the first is mental, telling ourselves stories about how something is constructed, having that logical view on it, which makes you able to retrieve it on the basis of, well, how is it looking on a logical level? We talked about that last time. And then the second level is the visual. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I have three different strategies for you that will enable you to learn scale shapes without touching your instrument. And it works so freaking well. It's amazing how well it works. You can be not touching your guitar for an entire month, or a week for that matter, right? That was what I meant to say. You go away for a week and you try to learn the melodic minor, say, okay? And it's got a lot of different shapes. We got cage shapes and 3-note per string shapes. And you don't touch your instrument. And you do these visualization exercises. When you come back to your guitar, even though you've never played these shapes before, you'll be able to remember them if you can do these exercises every single day. And there are three different ways of going about it. So that's the second level. And the last level is the kinesthetic, the feeling, the motorical level, you could say, where your fingers get used to feeling its way through the scale and remembering the path through them. And that is the most rapid way of remembering something, because it just gets built into your nervous system like a pattern. But you have to go through all three. Most people start at the visual, as we talked about in the previous video, and they try to remember the scale shape as a visual thing. And then they fail to do so very rapidly because they're lacking the mental understanding first. We talked about that last. Now, let's go into how to remember stuff. We're going to work with a simple structure. It's actually best if you don't know this structure already. It's just an arpeggio. And like in this case, let me see if I can find the right spot here. Like an E minor 7th arpeggio. If we'll go close up here, I'll just explain this to you from a mental perspective, and then we'll start to visualize it so we can remember it forever. So we got E minor structure here, the E minor 7th arpeggio. We got the notes on the 7th and in the 10th fret on the high E string. This is what I call a 2-1-2 shape. So 7 and 10 on the high E string. Then on the B string, I got a one note only in the 8th fret. Then on the G string, we got a 7th and we got a 9th. And a lonely note on the D string in the 9th fret. And then again, notes in the 7th and 10th on the A string. And if you want to play this shape in the most effective way with pick strokes all the way, you do this, you go down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, and down. Again. So a little mixture of alternate picking and sweep picking there. So you can get that up to a fairly amount of speed. But the way to remember something like this is to first talk about how is it constructed, and you might just want to say, okay, we'll just do that quickly because we did it last time. So the first one here actually looks like a pattern. You could say you got, if I mark that out, I got like a 2, and then in the middle on the next string there, I have a note. And then if the top string was like this, then I would have a perfect symmetrical shape where I could draw like, 3 notes like this or 3 notes like that. But the final note of the arpeggio is just 1 fret higher, which skews the whole thing. So I got like a cross, a perfect cross, that is then ruined by the top note that is in, one step higher. Just by saying that, you can now remember my little story about what goes on in the top 2-1-2 shape here, right? Oh yeah, I see that, right? Just that little story. And then in the bottom shape, we got like a minor third. This is actually like this is like a triad arpeggio. I know that. So root note, third and fifth. Also, power chord is right there, right? And it's very close to being this minor third, then this, then that. It's very close to being the first position minor pentatonic. With the root note there, then minor third, then 2 whole tone intervals on the 2 strings here, but I don't have anything in the 7th fret, right? So if you're the one coming up with that story that I just told you, then you'll also be able to remember that. But that kind of retrieving information is pretty slow, right? You can't do that as you're playing with a band, But so we move on to the next level here, and we got 3 different ways of visualizing something. We got the first person view. So when you're practicing this, you can look down on the fretboard, right? And then you can visualize the pattern on the guitar neck as you are playing it. You try to see the pattern all the time as you are playing up and down, right? You try to see the dots. There's a dot there, one there, and so on, right? You see those as you play. And that is what you're practicing as you are practicing perhaps technique, right? As you're practicing that, you also simultaneously visualize that shape. That's the first person, like in a video game, right? First person view where you see your gun, whatever, right? You see it from the eyes of the actual person involved. Then there is the third person view, you could say, where you imagine you are sitting across yourself. So if that's what you see now, basically, right? You see me playing this, and you visualize how that looks. Okay, now you see yourself playing it, and I see myself playing it, and I see the fingers going up and down. I see the shape on the fretboard. I see the 7th fret right there, and I see myself playing it up and down. Okay, minor third goes down like that. Yeah, that's a visualization, right? And you don't have to see it clearly. You just have to be able to see that exact pattern, right? You don't have to see exactly what color of clothes you got on and, vivid, just so you can see, okay, yeah, he's playing that. Okay, so that's the second person. This means something. This is really important, right? And then there's the next level of visualization, which is seeing it as a chart on a page, right? And that will be me taking my guitar, doing this, and then imagining I'm seeing the chart on a page, which is very often represented like that, right? So you got the shape right there. You see that? See if I can get it down here so we can get the 7th fret up here. So I have my shape. Looks like that, right? That's the idea. And so what happens is that because you have these 3 different ways of visualizing it, they all strengthen each other, which makes this so powerful that you can take just the charts of any scale you want to learn and then say, okay, the first day I'm just gonna visualize the first shape of the melodic minor or the harmonic minor, whatever it is that you want to learn, or the pentatonic. And you do these 3 things, right? You see yourself playing it, and if it's too much, if you haven't even touched your guitar and practiced the scale first, you just simply take a couple of strings at a time, and then spend 5 minutes just, okay, I got my first position here, I got the 2 top strings, remember the mental perspective first, then you work with the mental, explain the shape to yourself, and then you visualize yourself playing it, looking down on your fingers, okay, right? And then afterwards you see yourself play it like you were a spectator or in the audience. And then afterwards you see it on a piece of paper, drawn this way, right? Sorry, I'm closing my eyes here, I can't see what I'm doing. And those 3 will just, it's just that, I can sell it to you, but you have to try it out yourself. You have to try it out. Just do it with something little so you get the experience. That's always the first step, is get the actual experience of how well this works. And then don't come tell me that you don't have time to practice scales. Because you can do this without having your instrument nearby. You can walk around with this image in your head all the time. It works incredibly, and it just makes you sit down when evening comes and you got 2 shapes lined up, and you can remember them, you can play them. You have to get your fingers aligned as well, which is the last step, and we're going to talk about that in the next video, specific strategies for how you can do that the fastest way possible. But just sitting down and then not having to stare at a piece of paper or a chart to play that scale, but you just sit down. You never played the scale before, but because you did so in your head in 3 different ways, you just sit down and go, I can see the freaking dots on the fretboard, and I never played the scale in my life. That's how well this works. So, what are you going to do about this? You spent the time, you spent the minutes watching this video. Now you have to convert that into some kind of action. If you never saw this arpeggio shape before, use that, or use any shape you want to learn, any weak spot you have, and start visualizing in this way. Write it down. Tell yourself a story about it. How does it look? Is it symmetry? What can you say about the shape? And then secondly, go on to visualizing in these 3 different ways, looking down on the fretboard, looking from the outside on yourself as you're playing, and then looking at it on a piece of paper where you imagine having the guitar like that. Do that over and over again for just a day, and then sit down to play the shape that you never played before. Make that experiment to get the experience of how well this works, because then you get addicted. You say, wow, I can really utilize my time a lot better throughout the day. And then, of course, do as you always do, go check out our new program, which will disintegrate the challenge of gluing together the 5K shapes of the pentatonic scale and making them one. Once and for all, kill this channel, I wouldn't hope so, but kill this challenge, right? Make it go away so you never think about it anymore. The pentatonic scale is just bam across the neck, fluently with no hesitation, and then you can stick all kinds of other arpeggios and scales to that framework and make that as fluent as everything else. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.